At this time, we have the following speakers for public appearance. The topic of housing and youth offenders. The following people will be speaking. We will give 10 minutes for this particular item, and that is Paul Jones, Marilyn Stephens, Teresa Geithner, and Marcus Philemon.
Our fourth person.
I'd like to apologize because our fourth person called me at 5:30, said they were tied up at work. So we did have 4 individuals scheduled, but 3 of us showed up. So I do apologize for that.
So you have 10 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Marilyn Stefan, and I am a member of the Court Watch organization, and I participate at the South Division. I wanted you to know that I participated in a visit to the North Jail North, several weeks ago. Here's what I saw. Of course, remember, I have never been in jail, thank heavens. And of course, what I know from jail has been on TV, movies. So I was amazed at the cleanliness of this facility, how quiet the halls were, sparkling clean. It was indeed unfortunate that such negative local publicity has occurred regarding this facility where the juvenile offenders are housed. When I visited the rooms, the day rooms were clean. Their rooms were clean, wooden doors, windows, looks like a dorm room to me. The showers were clean, everything was clean. I learned how in every room, day room, there is a computer on the wall where a juvenile may file a complaint, request services. It goes directly to outside of the facility to an outside group. I think it's to the sheriff's office. The day I was there, the librarian was there handing out books. It was also the day that the juveniles were allowed to cut their own hair with razors. They can shave. And then after that, they cleaned their rooms. Everybody sweeping up. It was quiet. There wasn't any horseplay. There wasn't anything going on like that. Oh, by the way, there was no solitary confinement. We visited the classrooms where the detainees go to school, CMS school. It was quiet, and it just so happened when we were there, they broke for lunch. They lined up. There was no restraints. They lined up. They were quiet, single-filed out to go to lunch, well-behaved. The detainees are in school. Okay, the detainees are in school 6 or 7 hours a day, so they're out of their confined areas. I met many dedicated staff and officers that are concerned about these folks. Great care is given that no juvenile comes in contact with an adult at any time, and I believe there's laws about that. Maybe the counselor can help you with that. So I urge you to visit. And Miss Ella, I'll be happy to go with you if you want to go and visit. Show up unannounced. They don't care. Just go. You'll be very surprised. Thank you for your time.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, my name is Paul Jones. I'm an active member of CharMeck Court Watch and have been monitoring courts for 6 years. After a series of articles about the disciplinary confinement at the Mecklenburg North Jail, I took advantage of the opportunity that's just been alluded to look, listen, and ask questions at the facility. I had questions but kept an open mind, and I now understand how the system works for our youth versus the observer's narrative. Teenagers are still children in the eyes of most people. These young people have rights when it comes to arrest and incarceration. Those charged with inmate safety have a right to expect responsible and respectful and responsible behavior. It's about accountability, otherwise consequences will apply. If those held cannot abide by rules for maintaining order that apply to all in the facility, then they know there will be consequences. They have been told repeatedly. The rules are read to them twice a day at each shift change. Serious violations may include disciplinary confinement, but nothing to the degree the observer and others portray, because there is a process and laws to guarantee inmate rights. A small minority of youthful offenders will test the system. They are anything but stupid. To them, it's a game, and in a detention facility where there are privileges, those who violate rules designated for the safety all know the consequences. There's no misunderstanding as to expectations. It's one thing to criticize those who manage a difficult challenge. It's another to spend time observing, listening, and learning. Walk in their shoes. Be intellectually honest and not a Monday morning quarterback like the observer. Tour the jail. Ask questions. Do this versus forming an opinion based on a biased narrative from experts, and I put that in quotes, who have no experience in managing disrespectful and occasionally dangerous youthful offenders. Do not be swayed by some junior con artist who know how to BS even the smartest, most sincere, and caring members of this community. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Marcus Philman. I'm the Executive Director of CharMeck Cart Watch. When I came in this evening to speak, I had to enter through a metal detector. I had a guard wand me down, and I would imagine at a moment's notice you could have armed personnel show up in these chambers and escort me out. These protections are in place to send a message and help maintain order during meetings. Why should the Sheriff Department, and specifically Jail North, not have the same luxury as you, an elected official, to use tools to maintain safety and order? I personally toured Jail North with a group of volunteers approximately a month ago. I understand Commissioner Cotham also toured the facility recently. From what I experienced, I was greatly disappointed in her inaccurate portrayal of the situation while she was there. Furthermore, her continued misinformation to the general public not only insults the educated voter, but those who work in law enforcement day after day. The whole Jail North issue came about when a 20-year-old by the name of Davius Boyd wrote a letter to the Observer stating spending time in the disciplinary detention unit made him worse and depressed. Since then, he's been labeled the victim of government torture who now has mental issues. These words are thrown around like they're confirmed facts. Let me tell you what real torture is. I went and pulled Mr. Boyd's criminal conviction file. It was a very descriptive narrative of what he did to his victim, and one of the charges against him for which he was convicted was unlawful, unwilling, felonious engagement in vaginal intercourse with the victim, a female person of 13 years or more, by force and against her will by employing or displaying a handgun. How Davius Boyd was treated all depended on his own actions and behavior. The victim didn't have that luxury, and what she has to live with every day is torture. Something was taken from her by force and against her will. There's also been suggestions that because of Davius's time in DDU, which has been referred to falsely as solitary confinement, has caused some mental issues. I also checked his criminal file, and not only was he evaluated for mental illness, in which he was found competent, he accepted a plea deal of 43 years for the rape charges, which is something you can only do if you have no mental illness. You would think, with the way he said he was treated at Jail North, he'd want to change his ways, but obviously he's still defiant in prison. I pulled up his Department of Correction, his current infractions, which include fighting, barter, trade, loan money, sell, misuse medication, fighting, involvement with gang member, disobey order, high-risk act, profane language, and fighting. This is the poster boy you are rallying around, Ms. Cotham, to try and reinforce your argument when the simple fact is that there are some bad people in this world. We have provided all commissioners with a list of current inmates at Jail North, along with their offenses, and there's 66 inmates, and all of their offenses are listed. We were trying to find the ones that Ms. Cotham continues to use when telling her story, the ones that are in DDU for not paying their links fare or simply a matter of shoplifting, but have yet to come across those individuals in our research. Jail North has been an accredited facility since 2003, which spans the time when we've had many sheriffs. The rules and guidelines haven't changed much, but the bandwagon issue of 16, 17-year-olds being tried as adults has. The sheriff was overwhelmingly elected by the citizens of Mecklenburg County. He's in the business of law enforcement. You may not like the laws and rules that he's sworn to uphold, but then again, you get to reap the benefits of its effect. So once again, I've provided that document. It's a very thorough document. It took 2 days to go through, and there are no choir boys on that 12-page document, I assure you. And for the record, I've been involved. My wife and I have mentored. We try to be proactive, and sometimes it is what it is. There are bad people in this world. But I never want the victim to be forgotten, and sometimes when these articles come out, we never mention the victim's name. And I want you to think about that young lady's name when you refer back to Mr. Boyd to prove your point. Thank you, Commissioners, for your time.
Thank you.